Hi, I'm Sarah Jesse, and I help coalitions to implement and evaluate their community health improvement initiatives. As Project Manager of Community Health Improvement in Action, I'm so excited to introduce you today to our latest tool, the CHIA Sample Dashboard.
In this video, we'll explore the tab that's devoted to binge drinking, data pulled from the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, or BRFSS. If you have watched the tutorial on the YRBS tab, the setup for the dashboard is the same, so this will all be very familiar to you. This tab is quite a simple dashboard since we just have one indicator that we pull from the BRFSS, which is the percentage of adults that are binge drinkers. To access the binge drinking data from BRFSS, it's available by WISH, the Wisconsin Interactive Statistics on Health query. Here is the website for that, the module to use, and instructions. If you'd like to watch a tutorial that will take you through the process of a WISH query for this data step by step, that is available. Here for our indicator of binge drinking, we have an objective. So the first thing you'll want to do is put in your coalition's objective. What do you want to decrease your current binge drinking rate to among adults, and by what date? This column E will generate a check mark if this objective has been met by the last data point. So here, we'd like to decrease binge drinking to 24%, which is close to the state average of 24.6, but still quite far away from the US average of 16.6%. We have not met our objective yet, as we are only at 34.5% as of 2012 to 14. Now, if we change this to a much more attainable objective, let's say we wanted to hit 35, then yes, that check mark would be automatically generated. Let's undo that, Control Z or undo to return to our original objective. The next step you'll take is unhiding columns. You see here we go from F to N with that double line there indicating that we have lots of hidden columns here. So right click, unhide, and you see you have several more years of data available. Note that there are special columns that use conditional formatting on this table. Column E, as we've mentioned, generates that check mark if your objective has been met, and columns P and Q generate a red dot if the local data for the same year is worse than the state average in column P and the US average in column Q. So please do take special care to follow the instructions so you don't change the formatting of cells in those special columns. If you are adding more recent data to this table, you must keep your most recent data here in column N. That's because that checkmark rule in column E, as well as the red dot rules in column P and Q, all depend on the data in column N. They all compare to the most recent data point. So if you want to keep the data that currently exists in column N, you need to manually transfer it to another column. So let's go ahead and put it in column M. Now I can't cut and paste here because that would change the formatting rules for column N. We don't want to do that, so you just have to type it in manually. And let's say we have a more recent data point here for 2013 to 15 to add, and we'll say that we've improved and we're now down to 30% of our adults as binge drinkers from 34%. I can also input here past years of data. You can do that to your heart's content. These are not specially formatted in any way, so you can cut and paste all you want. If you are living in a bigger county, you might have individual years of data, but for our smaller counties in Wisconsin, you will have to use that 3-year of data range per data point here. And do note that if you're looking to report on data before 2011, it is advised that you don't compare data before 2011 to data afterwards, because 2011 is when they started using cell phones. So prior to 2011, only landline phone numbers were used, and that is quite a different population. So we do recommend that you start with 2011 here on your table. Now, since we have a new data point available, 2013 to 15 locally, we most likely have a new state and US average available as well. So let's go ahead and change those. First, we'll just change the top headings here to reflect the new data. You'll note we don't keep this old data, so if you would like to track these benchmarks, please do so on another table. So we'll just make up some nice data here and say that our state average has also decreased within this time to 24%. And the US average has changed as well. Let's note the source of the national BRFSS data for 2012 to 14. It was arrived at by query, and I have the web address there, as well as below here in the instructions. Source of national BRFSS data. Now you do have to formulate the US average for those 3 years. You'll get the data there in 3 separate years. So what you can do is create a formula here, and you can use my formula and just change the data. For example, say we're taking out our 2012 data, so that's there. So that's 2013, 2014, and let's say for 2015, following national trends, it likely has gone up to about 17. So this tells Excel to average those 3 numbers, and we'll spit out your average there, 16.6. Now that we have all of our data entered, you can go ahead and hide any unused columns. You'll notice here that your sparkline looks awfully short here in column O, but when you re-hide these columns, and you'll do that by clicking on them and selecting hide, the sparkline does return to normal. Now, data on this tab for the BRFSS is linked to cells on the Dashboard Tables tab. So let's go there next. Okay, here on the Dashboard Tables tab, our information on the percent of adult binge drinkers is down at row 99, and here we have hidden rows, so let's unhide them. Highlight rows 102 to 110, right click, unhide, and here is our data that we have just entered. Since we're not using any of the other data, you can go ahead and hide any of the unused rows. And you'll see then that our chart on the right has adjusted to our new data, but we need to make a few changes here. We actually don't need that data label right in the middle there. So we can delete that. And now we have our nice clean chart with the state average, US average. However, we do need to change this information because it should be state average 2013 to 15, and same with US average. So you will need to adjust the title as well for your chart. With this new data, that is less than a third. So you could say about a third of your county adults binge drink. You might also want to change the rates here. For example, now with our most recent data point, it's 1.3 times the state rate and 1.8 times the national average. So let's change that information. Oops. All right, so that is looking good. Returning here to the BRFSS tab, if for any reason you wanted to track another indicator on the BRFSS, you can always change this indicator just by typing a new one in here. You would also need then to edit this comment, clicking on the cell, right-clicking on the cell, and editing the comment here. And you can change the wording. And I'll hide the unused columns here of data. And here is where we'll end this video. If you would like more information on how to adjust spark lines, how to add additional columns of data beyond these columns provided to you, or how to change or create conditional formatting like in columns P, Q, and E, please check out another one of our tutorials on those topics. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.